So I'm going to chat to you a little bit about, or later I'm going to chat to you a little bit about Red Bull Amaphiko. But I think it's important to put in context what we're trying to do with the project. Just to chat a little bit about a theme that is very dear to my heart. And I think you guys are you're at the starting point of a new wave where actually I believe it is now possible for you to do good and do well at the same time. Now, without giving away my age, I was in your situation as a student where you kind of, if you wanted to do good in the world, then you had to join some charity or NGO and live off leftover vegetables and put all sort of aspirations of leading a reasonably sort of, let's not call it affluent, but just a comfortable sort of life that you could put your kids through school and this and that. That you had two choices. Either you wanted to go and work professionally in jobs, so either starting your own businesses or whatever, or you wanted to choose the other path. And thankfully now, I think the world is waking up to the fact that unless we get the best brains, the best minds, who might otherwise go into business, maybe less so into politics, but certainly into business, unless we get those brains applied and their passions and energies applied to changing the world for the better, we're never really going to make a difference. There's this phrase that you might have heard of called pro bono, which is a sort of principle that, if you go to a law firm as a charity or whatever, because you want some legal work done, you ask them to do it pro bono, which means, or it has come to mean, doing it for free, basically. We're a worthy cause, please just do what you do, but we can't pay you. So pro bono has become this sort of synonym for doing stuff for free. But those of you who know any form of Latin would know that pro bono means for good, not for free. And we've confused this belief that if you're doing something for good, that you shouldn't be allowed to make a living out of it. You shouldn't be allowed to make a profit out of it. Through this project, I've spent a lot of time in the United States recently. And as soon as you talk to people there about the cause they're doing, they go, oh, no, but it's a not-for-profit. Like I should admire that. Like it's sort of, no, my intention is so good that I'm not going to make any money out of it. Now, that's fine if you're coming from a wealthy, affluent American family. But for most people who want to make a difference, they also want to eat. And they also want to have a house over their head. They also ultimately want to provide for their family, this and that. So the encouraging thing is that this new world of what people are calling social entrepreneurship now is starting to change that sort of mindset, that actually if you run a social project along business lines, along using business principles to make it work. So you're not just reliant on getting donations and grants from corporates or Bill Gates or whoever, but you're running it in a way that there's an income stream that's sustainable, that you manage your costs in the way that any business person would make, and you're allowed to pay yourself a salary and make a small profit. There is nothing wrong with that, and the beauty of this new world of social entrepreneurship is that's becoming more and more acceptable. We're not there yet, because I'll give you one example. One of the projects we support is a young girl from Natal, KZN, who is called Ramona Casavan, and she runs a project called Happy Days. And the mission is to keep young rural girls in school at the time when they have their periods, because there's a lot of stigma around menstruation in that culture, and the girls don't feel comfortable going to school, partly because they don't have adequate sanitary protection, and also because there's a stigma around it. So she's providing low-cost sanitary pads to rural communities, initially in KZN, but now around the country. And she does a lot of work around self-esteem, education, to make girls feel proud of the fact that that's just part of what it is to be a girl. Now, she's just been given 2.4 million rand by the Industrial Development Corporation to run that project, which is great. Unfortunately, she's not, out of that 2.4 million rand, she's not allowed to pay herself a salary. Okay, because that's the mindset. It's like, you should be doing this all for good, out of the goodness of your heart. You can pay everybody else, but you can't take a salary out of that, which is, to my mind, is just fundamentally stupid. So those are some of the things we have to change, but the good news is that it is changing. And that's partly why I got involved with this project, because what we're trying to do with Red Bull Amaphiko is change the way that companies get involved in doing good. Typically, you have companies who have what they call the CSI department, or corporate affairs, who are the guys who, once the company's made the profit at the end of the year, they get to choose which charities they can hand the money out to. So they're the guys who appear in all those photographs with the really big blown up checks, handing it over to some nice, well-deserving charity. So the company now feels good, and they can go away again till the next year when they can hand out another big check. Now, that is not sustainable, because it's premised on the fact that doing good relies on the company doing well. Now, our belief, and certainly my belief, but the principle of Red Bull Amaphiko is that we run it as a core part of the business. And I'm going to explain a little bit about how that works. But just before I get onto that, somebody shared a picture with me on Facebook over the weekend, which was perfect for me to share with you, because in this journey, I mean, I've worked in that commercial world for plenty of years, and it was difficult to sort of meet all the demands that you had as an individual, as a father, and yet still follow your purpose. And this is a great graphic as to how you can actually marry it all. Now, I don't know if any of you have seen this. Now, you can't, unfortunately, see the circles. There's actually big circles around these. It's like, you know, a Venn diagram? You still do Venn diagrams? I don't know. Okay. So it basically says there are 4 things that you can do in the world, and none of them contradictory. So the stuff that you're paid for, there's the stuff that you're really good at, the stuff you love, and the stuff the world needs. Okay? So let's look at these together. So you're great at it, and you're paid for it. Okay? So that's typically what your profession is. So you're very good, and you get paid for it. That's what we do as a job. So that's your profession. You're great at it, and you love it. Okay? So that might be surfing, or skateboarding, or singing. So that's your passion. So you're great at it, and you love it. You love it, and the world needs it. So you want to be a teacher, yeah? So you love teaching, and the world needs teachers. So that's your mission, okay? But then the world needs it, and that's what you're going to commit your professional life to, becomes your vocation. And where vocation, mission, passion, and profession meet is purpose. So that's purpose. And without making this some kind of charismatic preaching session, that's where that little red dot is where over the last few years I've now realized that I can do all of that. I'm good at it, I love doing it, the world needs it, and I can be paid for it. And that's helping a new generation of social entrepreneurs create businesses that are sustainable, that have an impact in their communities, and hopefully can change the world. So that's my little mission. I'll make sure the full res image of that, because it's a really cute thing if you want to kind of describe it to anybody. So what Red Bull Amaphiko is all about. You guys would probably know Red Bull as, obviously, it's an energy drink. It's only 25 years old, which is probably the same age as some of you, a little bit older. So it's relatively young in the world. And what it's done, it's all about, obviously people know giving you wings. Red Bull gives you wings. And it's typically been in the areas to date of sport and culture. And culture means music, dance, art, a lot of that kind of stuff. And so what it does is it finds young dancers, young surfers, young skateboarders, young mountain bikers, and helps them develop their talent. And And so it basically gives those young people a platform and a training program for them to be the best they can be. So for those of you who know motorsport, up until last year, Sebastian Vettel was the Red Bull racing driver. Now, Red Bull had worked with him since he was a 12-year-old go-kart driver. They've worked with Geordie Smith as a surfer since he was 11 years old. Some of the dancers that they work with have been dancing through the Red Bull programs since they were about 13. And that's not sort of social responsibility. That's a core part of the brand's everyday doing business, because the brand is all about whatever your passion is. You can say, well, there's a guy who's following his talent and his passion, and wow, I could go and do that with mine. So that's what's Red Bull's about. So we've done that for a while, but now we've started on a new mission, which is to apply the same principles, but instead of it all being around physical energy, it's about giving wings to people's ideas. So our new mission is to give wings to pioneers who are using their talent, creativity, energy to make a positive change in their communities and to engage a broader audience to do the same. So that first part is really what the mission is about. It's finding people like yourselves. Can I just ask in the audience, how many people are actually part of one of the teams in the Upstart that started the project, that you've got your team together, you've got your idea? Yeah, okay, so a few. So what we're looking for is people exactly like you, somebody with drive and motivation, who's got a raw idea, but that there's a way to make that idea grow and make it sustainable. So keep watching, okay? So what we want to do is find those people, and there are a number of aspects to the program, but the core part of it is an academy that we run called the Red Bull Amaphiko Academy. And the first academy started in Soweto last year. I'm going to show you a short film about it just now, where we took 18 young social entrepreneurs from around the country who'd applied to be part of the academy, that went through a fairly rigorous selection process. And they worked in all sorts of different areas, and you'll get a feel for some of them now. And we put them through a 10-day kind of launching program where they got to meet some amazing entrepreneurs from around the world, some amazing innovators. They got to work on their projects. They had the opportunity for incredible mentorship. And then coming out of that, since then, that was April last year, so 12 months ago, for the last 12 months, we've worked with them in giving them the right kind of development support, the mentorship, access to networks and opportunities, and also a lot of help in telling their story. And that's where that second part comes in. Because what we want to do, I mean, you'll have all seen a Red Bull video online or on TV of some cool surfer or skateboarder doing awesome things, and you see that maybe not in, he might not even be from your country, but you go, wow, that's amazing, I want to be like him. Some of the people we've found, some of these young social pioneers, these young social innovators, our hope is that they can be new role models for the next generation of youth, because we're good as a brand at making things cool. So if we can make doing good cool, if we can make social entrepreneurship cool, that it's something that actually I want to be like that. And I'm going to show you a short film later of a young girl who hopefully can be one of the new role models. So that's part of the second part of it. So helping these guys tell their story, sharing their story with the bigger world is a key part of what we're doing. So I'm going to show you a short video now of what happened at last year's Academy. And bear in mind, at the end, I'm going to show you how you can apply to be part of this year's Academy, which is going to be happening here in Cape Town in November this year. So get your cameras and pens ready.